Ryan, very quickly, just to give you my name is Clark Wiens, and I am the ex-uncle of Colin. And
Hey, Clark.
yes, and I went to Kyrgyzstan, saw him when him and Sarah were there, of course, doing their duty for the Peace Corps. And we always talked about his claim to fame was knowing you. So we thank you very much for coming to the Circle Cinema in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And
Yeah, no problem.
we're really proud to have you. And you did a good interview in the paper, and we thank you. Michael Smith did a good write, and I'll send one to you. Okay?
Okay, sure, no problem.
Be
Thanks.
glad to. But thank you for being here. People, some have watched the film, some haven't. We're doing a split routine here tonight. We've got a beautiful night here. It doesn't help for bringing out crowds, but we got people in there anyway that want to see your film. Um, First of all, let's just one question. Ryan, since Half Nelson, how have you come down to the ground? That was a great movie. Everybody loved it. We had great attendance here. What's that life been like since? Doing this thing, obviously, and other things? Since Half
Yeah,
Nelson.
we had plans to make this film before that film ever came out. So we knew this is what we wanted to make. And when I say we, I mean Anna and myself. Anna's in Spain right now, so she can't be here
Right, thank you.
picking up this. Imagine her right here.
Yeah, okay, we will. Well done.
Uh, but no, we had this idea, and we've gotten some writing jobs from larger studios, and hopefully make one of those projects this year sometime. But yeah, trying to stay busy.
Well, we do appreciate your films very much. First of all, in this audience, does somebody have a question for Ryan about the film we just watched? Anyone? Yes, sir. The question was the star of your picture here. How much actual experience that he had in acting previous to this film?
He had zero acting experience. We found him on a baseball field in the Dominican Republic. That's how we cast the film. We would go around to baseball fields, and we would break out a video camera and interview players and see if anybody had some charisma or a spark or something. And we would invite them to our callback. We'd work with them, and if anybody had something going on, what's great about Henes is he's got this amazing presence. There's so much going on beneath the surface, and even when he's not talking, and he doesn't have a lot of talking to do in the movie, you really feel like he's going through something. And when we found him, we were very excited. We saw about 600 people before we cast him.
And was it almost instantaneous, or did you narrow it down to a few before you actually picked him?
We had narrowed it down to a bunch before we found him, but we weren't really confident in them. We weren't going to turn down the opportunity to make the movie, but we didn't have 100% confidence. And so when we found him, we were like, "Oh, this is great. This is the guy." Not instantly, but once we brought him back and met with him a few times, it was really clear that he was going to be perfect for the movie.
Now Dominican Republic exports movie stars, right? In addition to baseball, right?
We'll see.
We'll see, of course. Any other questions? Yes.
You seem to have a very good feel for Latin culture. Where did that come from?
Oh, I don't know. I think a lot of it comes from research. I think that we spent a lot of time, not just in the Dominican Republic, but I grew up in Northern California. I've been to Mexico many times. Anna and I made a documentary in Cuba about 5 years ago. So I think we were pretty familiar with Latin culture, but I think specifically for this movie, because all those cultures that I named are different, Cuba, Mexico, Dominican Republic, we had to spend a lot of time with those communities just learning the specifics of that world.
Makes sense. Another question?
Do you speak Spanish?
Ryan, are you Spanish speaking yourself?
I speak a little bit of Spanish, but Anna speaks much better Spanish. She's fluent, and it was great to have her because I would have been lost. But it was interesting as a directing experiment to pay attention to what was going on in the scene, but not knowing word for word what was being said, and I could still tell if something felt honest or real or not, even if I didn't understand specifically what was being said. So it was interesting to have me looking at it from that angle and Anna sort of understanding the specifics of the language.
Comprende.
Hey Ryan, thanks for being with us tonight. I have always heard about the Dominican Republic, and this gets away a little bit from the film, but I just wanted to see if you had an experience with it. I've always heard that a lot of the culture in the Dominican Republic, young men are basically bred for baseball, and it's one of their major cash crops and exports. Did you see any evidence of that while you were down there doing research? And that's just what I've always heard, and maybe a myth, but just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And I think, what it comes down to is Major League Baseball pumps so much money down into that country. Every major league team has their own private academy, and lots of players get signed to these teams who never even come to the United States to play minor league baseball. So everybody in a small town, all these poor kids from these impoverished communities, they all know somebody who has been signed by a team or played for a team, and maybe the lucky ones have gone over and played minor league ball in the United States. But for a lot of them, it's the only way. It looks like the only way out of poverty. It's the only way. They all know about Sammy Sosa and these heroes of their country. There's so many Major League Baseball stars who are Dominican. And unfortunately, it doesn't feel like there are a lot of other job opportunities in the Dominican Republic. So the negative cost of this is that they drop out of school at a very early age just to pursue baseball. And so that has some unfortunate side effects. We've met a lot of people that couldn't read. They couldn't read Spanish. You could hardly understand what they were saying. Even fluent Spanish speakers from the community, they had trouble communicating just because of their really poor education level. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, it's true that baseball is huge down there, and every 12-year-old, every 9-year-old boy is out there playing every day.
Well, let me ask you, if we didn't have this relationship with Cuba, and you're having made a doc there, if Cuba was more free, would that be true of that country? Could they not do the same? And do any other Latin countries trying to imitate Dominican Republic now?
Absolutely, yeah. They have these camps in Venezuela as well right now, and because of their relationship has become a little bit strained between Venezuela and the United States, those camps aren't becoming as successful as the Dominican camps. But absolutely, the same would apply for Cuba. There's so many great Cuban ball players, and you see when you watch the World Baseball Classic or the Olympics, Cuba competes at such a high level, and so many of those guys would be over here playing if they had the opportunity.
Just for the record, since we show a lot of documentaries here, what is your film on Cuba about, the doc itself, and what was the name?
It's called Hoevens Rebellion, which is Young Rebels, and it's about the hip hop community in Cuba, in Havana, and unfortunately it never came out on video. It played a lot of festivals, and played a lot of played in different countries on television, but we had some music issues that we could never really have a DVD deal for. But if you look hard, you might be able to find a bootleg copy somewhere.
Well said. Okay, do we have any more questions here for Ryan? Yes, we do.
How long were you in the Dominican for the film?
The research stage, we were there for probably a couple months off and on, and then for the shooting stage, probably another month. We only had 11 shooting days while we were there, but there was so much time spent preparing to shoot that it probably was several months in total.
Someone here?
Do you know what the star of your film is doing now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the time we met him in the Dominican Republic, he used to work in a hotel, and he had met an American girl and become very friendly with her, and basically we gave him an opportunity to come to the United States and make a movie with us, and he sort of stayed and is now living with this woman he met while working in the Dominican Republic. So he's living outside of Boston in Massachusetts. And, we'll see what happens with the movie, but I think he did a terrific job, and there aren't a lot of, acting is just as tough as baseball. So although he wants to pursue it, he's going to have an equally difficult time, but I think he's good at it, and hopefully he finds some success.
Absolutely. Any more questions?
As far as other projects, what are you working on now, or what do you plan to do in the future?
There's an original script that Anna and I are writing, we're working on, and then there are a couple book adaptations that we've done for other companies. And one of those books is called It's Kind of a Funny Story, and there's a chance we'll start shooting that later this year. And the other book is called Special Topics in Calamity Physics, which we just finished a script for and turned it in.
I'm curious, we have such competition among states that people come produce films. Did the Dominican Republic give you an incentive to come down there? Economically.
No, in Dominican Republic, no. The story is what led us there. But and we wanted to go to Iowa too afterwards. But and we were actually the first film to shoot under a new law in Iowa that had some kind of state funding for films. So they do have incentives, but it really all came out of the story, and we were just fortunate enough that Iowa had begun this fund.
Well, we have a fund like that, but not perhaps as well in Oklahoma. We would love to invite you to come shoot here. Our ironic thing is, you may know Tim Blake Nelson, and he's on our board here. And
great.
And the problem was he's making a film about Oklahoma, but he went to Louisiana to shoot it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It was very bad for us economically and otherwise. And also, I think we just showed a film here of someone you met in the Sundance. We were talking about you. Sterling Harjo did Barking Water. In fact, we had very good turnout for about a week with that. He done quite well with it. I don't know if you actually,
great.
Yeah, he's done very. And we said you were going to be hopefully on a Sky Chat, and he said, "Oh yeah, I sat with him or talked with you at Sundance or something." So I'll pass on to Sterling. I said hello, and we appreciate
I
it.
will.
If we
Yeah.
have any more questions? Well, yeah, one more, sir.
There are people here who haven't seen the movie yet, but without spoiling it for them, did you consider alternate endings?
No, actually. We knew this movie was a rare story where we knew the ending before we knew the beginning or anything else that happened in it. And the reason why is because once we began researching, we went up to we live in New York, I'm in Brooklyn right now. We went up to the Bronx, to that field where the last scene of the movie takes place. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but we met so many guys at this field who had gone through a very similar process, and they all sort of find this unique community with each other, and they play for fun, and it's such a festive, kind of wonderful experience to see these guys who had gone through this journey. And so we started interviewing them, and we said, oh, this is great. This is where everybody sort of, my cat is coming through the frame.
We told people this was live. That's too cool.
But so once we talked to these guys, we sort of started to hear their stories, and we began to work our way backwards and sort of investigate what led them there, and that's where we sort of fleshed out the details of the rest of the story. But no, we never questioned the ending. There may have been details that got us there that we questioned, but that was always the end of the film.
Well, I'll say on behalf of the Circle, and say hello to Colin when you see him next. And of course, Sarah says things about you also, and we appreciate both your films, Half Nelson and this. And is that film really available? The Cuban film? Is that something we could plan to show? No, not really.
I wish it was. If you stay in touch with me, I can send you a copy, and you guys can show it if you want. It's just I have a DVD burned that I can send you.
We'd like to do that. We would look forward to that. Ryan, thank
Sure.
you so much for, number one, allowing us to show your film here, in which we all enjoyed. Those who've seen it already, I did, of course. And then again, for just coming and visiting with us. And we wish you a good evening, and thank you so much for being at the Circle.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Bye-bye.